Palestine, Israel. Boy band? Meet as1one, a boy band made up of performers from both Israel and Palestine, which were formed in 2022 and are still together and are now trying to heal the world through the power of music and dance. The whole thing is wild, and we have all the info for you right here on Scroll Deep, the show that's brought to you by no one. Save me, Nando's. Meet as1one. Well, I say as1one. The name is as the number one and then the word one. There's a one in the middle. So, I mean, I guess technically the name is as1one or as11, a boy band made up of 6 guys, 3 Israeli Jewish, 3 Palestinian Arab. I don't think I need to tell you that a group made up of people from these 2 places is somewhat surprising, perhaps somewhat controversial. You can find out more about that in my interview with Moya Lothian McLean, which we did on TikTok and YouTube and all that stuff. But especially in this moment, I was quite surprised to hear that they exist. But every detail about them is even more surprising and crazy, so let's run it all down, right? They were formed a few years ago, still not exactly a peaceful time between Israel and Palestine, still a pretty wild, controversial thing to form. But obviously there was significantly less bloodshed that is happening now, but they've stayed together even as things have continued to escalate, and they've been working on a debut album and a debut single, which is now upon us. And we'll get into all of that, but before that, the most important part of any group, of course, is choosing your bias. So let's meet the boys. We've got Sadiq Abu Dogosh, who's 21. We've got Nadav Phillips, who's 23. We've got Asil Farah, who's 22. But does he seal the deal for you? We've got Ohad Atia, who is 22. We've got Niv Lin, who's 23. And we've got Nata Rosenblatt, who's 22. So they're all quite young lads, starry-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to sing, ready to dance, ready to say over and over again that they love music and that music is healing the world and that they can't wait to do music. A mean person would say that they perhaps look a little older than 21 and 22. Is this a boy band or is this a man band? This might just be the era we're in where young people just look older now. I guess because of like makeup and styling and stuff, but I guess like kind of, handsome model-esque people tend to look a little bit older anyway. And I will say the one thing that they've decided is that it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter your background or your religion, all that matters is, are you not ugly? That's the only thing this band cares about. They've stayed by the one golden rule of showbiz, which is no uggos, only handsome people. So that's beautiful and inspiring. And you may say forming a group out of people from, countries that have a very conflicted history, to say the least. Surely that's crazy, but it's actually not the first time it's happened. People don't remember this a lot, but S Club 7 was actually made up of people from both France and Prussia in an attempt to heal relations after the 7 Years' War. That's of course why they're called S Club 7. Now this is where things get truly crazy. So as1one had been rehearsing for over a year before they arrived in LA to start laying down some tracks on October 6th, 2023. One day before October 7th. Now, as you can imagine, when October 7th happened, it was a significant source of tension and strife within the group, and that's where we come to another twist in the tale, which is that all of this has been filmed. They were already being filmed for a TV show about the band. So when October 7th happened, which obviously very much changed the direction of the group and the show, the tone of the footage very much flips from guys who are excited to be in a band to something a lot heavier. And that show is coming out soon. This isn't an ad for it or whatever, but the trailer for the show, the first half is like, yeah, you're in a band. The second half is very emotional. It seems like one of the members' friends died. They seem to be arguing. They do seem to, in all of the press releases, they don't seem to really touch on any of the controversy, but in the show at least, they do seem to have tension. They do seem to actually discuss the serious social, economic, political differences between them, which might be honestly quite compelling to watch. The official synopsis of the show is a bit more anodyne. It says, as1one have been filmed since their inception and development for a limited docu-series streaming worldwide on Paramount Plus. You're welcome for the promo. It's a coming-of-age story featuring 6 young men who band together with the opportunity to become a celebrated inspiration of collaboration, friendship, and acceptance
for everyone
through trailblazing pop hits. I love being inspired to collaborate, and I love when that inspiration of collaboration is celebrated. Now, the trailer for the show on YouTube already has 700,000 views, which is quite a lot considering the band has no music out at the time of recording. The show is also not out, and basically no one knew they existed until like a month ago. But I guess it's such a kind of WTF, it's such a what? That people are quite drawn to it. You know, it's the reason why we're even covering it. I will say the comments on YouTube are broadly pretty positive. Now, obviously, they could be sort of hiding or demoting negative comments. That's fairly typical, especially in the music industry. But I do think broadly people are like, well, maybe this could be nice. You know, I think there's so much bad news these days. People are like, well, this could maybe be positive. I mean, it all comes across a bit naive. It all comes across very Eurovision coded. It's very like, hey friend, what if we all ate one big stew and that stew was called music? And it cured the hunger that I call discord and sadness. You know, it's very Eurovision. Which country was I doing there? Every country. Except the UK, who would just turn up and get no points. The UK would turn up and do a song that's like, I like to dance, dance, dance on a Wednesday. And then no point. The whole thing kind of reminds me of David Guetta when he sampled Martin Luther King for a remix. I have a dream. Which is kind of amazing. See, he meant well, you assume, but poorly conceived. Now, as I said, they have a debut song on Friday the 13th. Ooh, ominous. The song is called All Eyes on Us. Now, why is it called that? It feels a little odd for their debut single to call it All Eyes on Us when, obviously, All Eyes on Rafah was one of the main rallying cries during what many would call a genocide. So calling their song All Eyes on Us, either they're going for like All Eyes on Us as a sense of unity, or it feels like a slightly cheap, perhaps offensive co-opting of All Eyes on Rafah, or it's a complete coincidence, seems unlikely. Either way, I don't know, you couldn't have just called it Dance, Dance, Dance on a Wednesday, that great song I just came up with. All Eyes on Us, I don't know, it just feels a little uncomfortable, uncomfy, as Gen Z would say, to me. But, you know, the song is inoffensive, broadly. It's kind of catchy. Nile Rodgers is part of the song, you know. Denial isn't just a river in Egypt. He's also a talented musician, and he's part of the song. You know, Nile, who's in Chic, he was on Get Lucky, he was on Renaissance. He's an icon. So the fact that Nile Rodgers is back in the band, it does say something. And he has been very kind about the boys in interviews. Am I being cynical? Is this sort of like the musical equivalent of like greenwashing? You know, are they taking something very dark and complicated and trying to sort of smooth it over into something simplistic, you know? Like the message seems to be like, can't we all just get along? You know, as if Israel and Palestine are just like cats and dogs who don't like each other. And it's like, well, it's a little bit more complex right now. There's things that could be done right now that would save a lot of lives, and none of them involve dance routines. But also, again, maybe I am being too cynical, because ultimately they're musicians. What more can they? They're trying their best. Maybe they really do believe in the healing power of music. Maybe music does have the power to change the world. Maybe I am truly being too cynical about this. It's hard to know, really. I guess we'll know more once the show comes out and we have more of a sense of what they're trying to do here. I will say that the lads themselves seem very nice and sweet and seem to have nice intentions. I think they think they're doing something wholesome. They're doing music, which they love. They're addicted to it, the way they talk about it. They can't get enough of that music. Music for me has got to be one of the top 10 things to listen to, so I'm on board with them. The song is out now. Here are some of the reactions. Obviously, it's still kind of early days for the reactions. It's early days for people to discover that this band exists, but here's what people are saying initially. I know what it says behind me. I'm definitely not pre-recording this and putting the reactions in afterwards. But what do you think? I'm actually genuinely really interested to see what the comments say about this one, because I'm flitting between am I being too cynical or am I being too naive about this? Or does this even matter at all? Or whatever. I'm very intrigued about the show, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Please keep it civil. Also, if you're from that area of the world, or if you are related to people from that area or whatever, let me know, because obviously you have more of a personal investment in this sort of strange little experiment. So do you find it inspiring? Do you find it insulting or perplexing or whatever? Let me know. I'm very intrigued to hear. But this has been Scroll Deep, the show that keeps up with internet and world nonsense so you don't have to. Make sure to follow if you've made it this far into the show. Good God, you've made it 25 minutes and you haven't followed? Come on, you want to be the first one to get new episodes, you know you do. And also make sure to hit like as well. We put, you know, nearly an hour of work into this. We should be rewarded with a little like. Obviously, it's nice to have the rats back. And Krabby's with us as well. H-O-T-T-O-T-O. Crabble Rowan? If you don't know who Krabby is, it's because he was from a Nando's sponsored segment. So that's on you for skipping that good segment that our friends Nando's put together. You don't even know what this is. You can't even guess what animal it is. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the episode. Till next time, I'll leave you with our famous catchphrase. Music, for me, is like the real drugs. I'm high on music. I could honestly do an impression of like generically European Eurovision guy forever. It's my favorite guy.